Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to Spirit Speakeasy. I'm Joy Giovanni, Joyful Medium. I'm a working psychic medium, energy healer, and spiritual gifts mentor. This podcast is like a seat at the table in a secret club, but with mediums, mystics, and the spiritual luminaries of our time. So come behind the velvet ropes with me and see inside my world as I chat insider style with profoundly gifted souls. We go deep, share juicy stories, laugh a lot, and it wouldn't be a speakeasy without great insider secrets and tips. You might even learn that you have some gifts of your own. So step inside the Spirit Speakeasy. Hey, beautiful soul, welcome back or welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. This week I'm going to share a topic that I have been rolling around in my mind and really dissecting for a while, so I'm excited to share it with you. The title of this episode is Microdosing Joy, Tiny Tools to Reset Your Energy in Seconds. Really, the premise of this episode is this idea that the world feels heavy right now. I don't know if you're aware. I'm sure you are. People are exhausted, overwhelmed, and overstimulated. But what if I told you that finding joy, peace, grounding, and connection doesn't have to take hours? What if just 10 to 60 seconds could shift your entire mood? Today, we're diving into the power of microdosing joy, peace, grounding, and connection. Small, scientific-backed shifts that can reset your nervous system even in the middle of your busiest day. Whether you're stuck in an office, stuck in traffic, living in a big city, or just constantly on the go, these simple techniques will help you find lighter, calmer, and more centered feelings starting right now. So hopefully I've already piqued your interest. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely a place for longer form meditations. You all know I love a guided meditation. I put tons of them out there. So I think there is a place, a time and place, right, in our schedule for really taking time to do self-care, to do meditation practice, to do, to receive healing, to do all of these other aspects. But what about when we just don't have time? I think sometimes we can get into this habit of thinking, oh, I'll do that when I have a couple days off. I'll try to recharge when I get a little 2-day weekend, right? I almost never get 2 days off, so I know it can be a struggle, right? But I really want to make the case for this idea of microdosing: peace, joy, stillness, connection, grounding. Most people with this feeling of overstimulation, we really are physically, emotionally, energetically just exhausted and kind of spread very thin, right? So the nervous system gets overwhelmed as well. We have these physical systems that are part of us and these energetic systems that are part of us. And these small shifts, as we're going to talk through in this episode, can really add up over time. So instead of having that idea that we were just talking about waiting for the right moment to relax, we can integrate these micro moments throughout our days. And the more we practice these tiny shifts, the easier they become. Almost like training a muscle, we can kind of get there very quickly or go through any of these or pull out any little tool very quickly. And I really wanted to focus on tools, tips, techniques that were between 10 seconds and 60 seconds, just because one of the most common pushbacks I hear is like, oh, I don't have time to meditate every day. I don't have time to focus my energy every day. So what is microdosing energy shifts? Obviously, we know what big lifestyle changes are, right? Those are things like a weekend retreat, a vacation, an hour-long delicious meditation, right? Something that we're trying to create as a new habit. Maybe we're starting a new workout routine or a new nutrition routine. So those are the big changes, big lifestyle shifts. But these are different. Like I was saying, there's a place for those big ones, and if you can do them, great. But don't just wait until you carve out time or till the need rises for these big types of lifestyle changes. What about small 10 to 60 second resets that shift your nervous system pretty instantly? And we can build the power of quick, repeatable, low effort, very low barrier to entry, very easy to implement energy shifts. Stacking these small moments can create bigger emotional resilience over time. It's almost like if you think about using a little pressure valve and letting out just a tiny bit of pressure over and over throughout the day, rather than letting that pressure really build up till we have a big explosion at the end of the day to relieve that pressure, right? How can microdosing joy, even in stressful moments, help you? When to use this? I would say if you feel drained, if you feel uninspired, if you feel stuck in like a loop of stress, really there's no like right or wrong time to use these, but I just want to go through some examples, some ideas, and some little tips and tools for you. So how to microdose joy even in stressful environments. For example, if you're stuck at work and you can't leave your desk, or it's like coming up to a time of a meeting and you're feeling very stressed, you're in this loop of feeling uninspired, feeling stuck, but you can't take the day off, for example. There is this technique where you just listen to 10 seconds of a favorite song. Even a tiny dopamine hit will help. It's a quick mood enhancer. I don't know if you know this. Did you know that listening to just 10 seconds of a favorite song can trigger a release of dopamine, enhancing pleasure, motivation? It can sometimes take us to a different place in time. So I know most of us, because we have these amazing handheld devices that we carry everywhere, have playlists and things. You could, if you only had 10 seconds, you could listen to 10 seconds of a favorite song, or like an old banger that you used to listen to in like, I don't know, your teens or 20s or 30s or whatever era you want. If you have a little more time, if you have 60 seconds, you could 10-second shuffle through 6 songs, and imagine that shifting excitement in your body and those little releases of dopamine that can just take that edge off. Another way to microdose joy, even in a stressful environment, is to do, okay, bear with me because I know some of you are about to roll your eyes at this, but others of you will be into it. Do one silly or playful movement. It could be like a get up and like shake your whole body, shake your arms out. When my kids were little, we used to call this shake the wiggles out, where it's like, you're going to have to sit down and focus on a project. So just take like 10 to 60 seconds and just wiggle it all out, wiggle it all out, wiggle it all out. You could, if you're someone that doesn't have any kind of vertigo or balance issue, you could spin in a circle. You could do jumping jacks. You can engage in 60 seconds of dancing or even stretching to reduce muscle tension, to decrease those stress hormones. So it's kind of like a 10 to 60 second dance it out, dance party. It could just be any movement that works for you. It can just be just like if you, for example, are stationary and you can't like get up and dance, let's say, it could be 10 seconds of like arm pumps, or 10-second chair celebration, let's just say. But really, it really lets us release the physical energy. It brings in some decreased stress hormones and reduces a little bit of muscle tension, moves our blood. Another tool for microdosing joy, even in stressful environments, is to force or like fake a laugh. The truth is, our brains don't know the difference. It releases the happy chemicals anyway. Laughter has been linked to the release of endorphins, promoting a sense of well-being, pain relief, calm. Think of like those good endorphins we like to have, right? So if your brain doesn't know if it's a fake laugh or a real laugh, could you just look at something and laugh? Now, if you're a little bit sarcastic, maybe you could just laugh at the ridiculousness of something happening in our current world, or the ridiculousness of, I don't know, something in your house, something that you like, something on your desk. But you can force or fake a laugh, and your brain will release those stress-reducing chemicals. You only need 10 seconds, but you could force or fake a laugh for 30 seconds if you're feeling extra ambitious. Another way to do this microdosing joy, we're doing joy first, and then we'll come to peace and stillness, we'll come to grounding, and we'll come to connection. But this final way that I want to give you for microdosing joy has to do with changing your visual input. So if you're looking at a screen, if you're looking at a page, really just changing your focus for 10 to 60 seconds to something bright, something colorful, or something beautiful. And remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So for me, I could even look at like a stone. It doesn't even have to be a crystal. It could be just like a regular rock off the beach. And feel like that's something beautiful to look at. So whatever is beautiful to you, could be a plant, a piece of art, a photo that contains a happy memory, a window if you have one nearby. I told a bit of this story in last week's episode, but I was recently on a flight, and serendipitously, I had changed my flight. The gal that I ended up sitting with had also changed her flight, and she had this gorgeous little baby girl who was just under a year old. And she was at that age where she wanted to clap, and then she wanted you to clap. And she had just these belly laughs, just this pure joy emitting from her in these little giggles and belly laughs she was doing. So even something like that, just a 10-second focusing on the laughter of a baby, or purring of a kitten, anything like that will do, just to change our input, our visual input. And it can even be like our sensory input, for example, to really just give us those endorphins to help us shift our focus. I like 60 seconds on this one, but you could do it in less if that's what you need. So those are my thoughts about microdosing joy, even in a stressful environment. Let's move on and talk about microdosing peace and stillness without even leaving the room. Okay, when you should use this: if you're feeling overstimulated, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling mentally scattered, if you're feeling like you just need a moment of calm. I actually even like these when I'm feeling uninspired, because sometimes if I'm uninspired, getting still can just recenter me to bring in fresh inspiration. Okay, there are a few techniques for this. I'm going to go through 4 of them. The first technique for how to microdose peace and stillness without leaving the room, you just take your hand and put it on your heart space. Now, this can be your physical heart, which is slightly on the left side of your chest. I like to do mine in the center, more of like heart chakra space, or just kind of that center of chest. So I like to put the hand on the center of chest. Just press it on there. You don't have to press hard. Just hold it there where you can feel it, and take 3 deep, slow breaths. Even this exercise of 3 deep, slow breaths with your hand on your heart can activate that parasympathetic nervous system. That's the one that's responsible for fight or flight. It can also be responsible for fostering calmness. If you're alone and you want to take, I guess even if you're not alone, you want to take this one to the next level, you can put the one hand on your chest, center of chest, and the other hand on your belly, wherever you like. If you like low belly, if you like kind of that 3rd chakra, high belly, just under the ribs, but wherever you like in your belly, you can do the same thing. Just 2 hands, one on chest, one on belly, and take 3 slow breaths. And your nervous system gets the message. You're safe. You're supported. You've got this. It's just a coming back to self, coming back to peace and stillness. I've done this exercise everywhere. I've done it in crowded places. I've done it at doctor's offices. I've done it on subways, planes. You can do this one anywhere, and it just takes 3 deep, slow breaths, or 3 calm, slow breaths. You can do it for longer if you like. It feels wonderful, and it is a great microdose of peace and stillness. Our second microdose of peace and stillness is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. I was taught this years ago by a client who suffered from panic attacks, and they were taught by their therapist. So this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is essentially has to do with our 5 physical senses. So you work down from 5 to 1. 5, notice 5 things you see. So just kind of look around and in your mind, call out 5 things that you see. Most of you guys know I typically, sometimes I record at the office, but I typically record in my home, and I could tell you 5 things I see, but it would probably sound weird on the podcast. So 5 things you see, and then working down. 4 things you hear. So it's kind of bringing yourself present. What do I hear right now? 4 things you hear. 3 things you feel. And it can be like tactile. So like, okay, I feel my pants are soft. I feel this desk is cold and hard. I feel, whatever it is, 3 things you feel, 2 things you smell, which can be a fun one depending where you are, and 1 thing you taste, right? Now, I do want to say with this one, the purpose of it is it helps anchor you in the present moment. It shifts your focus very very quick, right? Microdose. So if we're anxious about the world and all the things, right? If we go, okay, what's 5 things I can see? We're bringing our focus smaller. We're shifting our focus. You can switch up what sense is associated to what number. So like I just said, 5 things you could see. If you want to do 5 things I could hear or 5 things I could touch, it's just using the 5 senses. So you can mix up, you could say 5 things I see, 4 things I hear, 3 things I feel, or you could do 5 things I feel, 4 things I see, 3 things I hear. Do you know what I mean? So it's just the 5 senses and counting down 5 to 1. I really like this one, especially when our thoughts are getting really big or really broad and it's creating a lot of anxiety or panic. Bringing it down like that really just brings us right back to present time and space and into our body. So that's the number 2. The number 3 way that I have for you to practice microdosing peace and stillness is the soft eyes reset. So essentially, it's really just like relaxing your gaze. Some of us know this one from childhood because we were told we were like zoning off into space or like looking off, daydreaming into space. It's kind of that. So essentially, you just relax your gaze, let your vision go soft, and this immediately calms their nervous system. This practice can also help lower heart rate and blood pressure, which of course contribute to us being in a state of calm, but just really that soft eyes gaze. For me, this one kind of hurts my eyes. I do it in a little bit of a different way. I like to be just almost like staring off at nothing, and I'm not looking at anything in particular. I don't love changing the focus of my eyes. That's just I'm a little bit weird and particular. So if you guys haven't figured that out already for however long you have personally been with me, so some people love the soft eyes, the soft gaze. Mine is just a slight tweak on that where I'm just kind of staring off at, like, really not focusing my eyes on anything in particular. And that can work as well. Now, this fourth microdosing peace and stillness, I really like. I use this one quite a bit, actually. This is it's called a white noise pause. So again, anywhere from 10 to 60 seconds. This one works best like 30 to 60 seconds, I find, but play with it for yourself. It's focusing on only the background noise. So for me, I've done this my whole life, and I kind of wonder if it helps with my mediumship or if it's like a little bit of a faculty of mediumship as well, because sometimes there can be whatever's the loudest thing in our space, right? Maybe there's a TV on that's talking. Maybe there's people having lots of conversations. Like imagine if you're at a restaurant, for example, and there's all the conversations going on around you. It's kind of letting yourself listen above all of the chatter and find a white noise. That could be like a fan. It could be, depending on the time of day here, sometimes it's a bus running outside. It could be anything. It could be an air conditioning unit. Like for example, if you're ever in those like conference rooms or hotel ballrooms, there's usually some kind of AC HVAC unit that's running. It could even be like the hum of a tea kettle or the hum of does anyone have those big modems? Remember those big like computers that used to have like a fan in them? So it can be anything, just a white noise, any white noise. If you don't have one around you, there are lots of on like YouTube, or probably that's the easiest place to find it is YouTube, like a white noise video. So you could have it on say you're at home working on your computer. And there are white noise machines too, to be quite honest with you. We have one in my office because there are a lot of therapists, but I've always had one in my office. So if you wanted to get a dedicated like white noise machine, or like those clocks that have the white noise sounds in them, but really you could just look it up on YouTube, a white noise sound, and you could have it running and then just practice moving your awareness for like 10 to 60 seconds only to that white noise. See if you can focus only on the white noise and not the other conversations or noises or things in the room. And I really like this one quite a bit. I have I've honed over time, really. It's like I said, all of this is like a muscle teaching us to focus our awareness, teaching us to come back into our center of head, into our body, to bring calm, to move our awareness back within ourselves. So this is lots of micro moving our awareness for a lot of this, but yeah, that's one of my favorites. Let's move on now to how to microdose grounding, even in a chaotic situation. There are lots of wonderful grounding meditations. I have one that I like quite a bit that if you've ever been to the free community healing or any type of meditation with me, I'm sure you've heard me do the grounding and running your energy. There's lots of versions of it, but again, these are for like when you don't have time to sit and do a full 15-20 minute meditation. Here are some tips for grounding, even in a chaotic situation, that are microdosing. So 10 to 60 seconds. You can use this if you feel ungrounded, if you feel scattered, if you feel energetically pulled in too many directions. You could also do this like if you took a lunch break and you're just coming back to your desk and you need to like quickly get refocused onto, I don't know, the meeting that you have later, whatever it might be for you. I'm going to give you several different ideas for this. There's about 6 of these, and they're all micro, so get excited. So one way to do this microdosing grounding is foot to floor awareness. So it's kind of just like feel your feet fully connected to the ground. You can do this with shoes on, you can do this with shoes off, and it's just feet flat on the floor and feeling the connection point, feeling, all of the parts of your feet that touch the floor, trying to let yourself feel those. And you can do that for 10 to 60 seconds. The next one is a water reset. So it's essentially drinking water with full focus on the moment. Like feel your lips touching the cup or the straw, feel your muscles bringing the water in, feel it cool in your mouth, feel it going down your throat. So really just feeling connected to the way this water is moving in and through your body. That's a way to kind of ground right back into your body. A third one is imagining tree roots. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. Kind of the truest way would be through a grounding cord coming from that tailbone area or your root chakra, which is that red chakra that we see when we see the chakra lights on the pictures. So you can kind of start creating roots from like that root chakra, or some people also like to play with visualizing roots growing from the soles of their feet or from their ankles. Because of the way I'm taught to do the grounding and running energy, I think of energy coming up, like soles of the feet bringing up earth energy. So this one is kind of an old version for me, but some people like it. So if it works for you, you can imagine roots coming out from your feet, just really sinking into the earth. But you can also do a grounding cord from your tailbone and just really visualizing growing roots from that root chakra deep, deep, deep into the earth through that gravitational pull line all the way till the center. And you can do that very easily in 30 seconds or less. But if you have 60 seconds, it feels nice to do it for 60. Another super quick and easy way to microdose grounding, no matter where you are, this is going to sound weird, but hold your elbows or your knees. So it's taking the palms of your hands and putting them on the opposite elbow. If you could take your hand and touch your same elbow, you're doing great. You're doing something I can't do. So it's essentially taking your left hand and putting it on your right elbow and your right hand and putting it on your left elbow and just holding your elbows. You can close your eyes or you can pick like a focal point if you're somewhere like in a line or on a train and you feel like you can't close your eyes, you can just pick something to kind of gaze off at. But so holding your elbows, or you can also do it holding your knees, and you don't have to cross your arms for this. You can just do like same hand, same knee if you want, and just holding your knees. And if you want to take it to that extra level, you can feel that energy from your hands going kind of up and down your legs, or you can it's creating like a closed circuit within your body. So that one is also really easy to bring you a quick grounding. Just hold your elbows or hold your knees. It's a little harder, I guess, to hold your knees if you're standing, which is why the elbow one comes into play. So it's really easy. But if you're sitting or this is why it's great, because if you're like sitting in a meeting or you're sitting in a waiting room, you could very easily just put your hands on your knees for grounding. Another one that is sort of similar to this in the physicality of it, like some of these, like drinking water is obviously a little different, but it's sort of along the lines of touching knees or elbows. You touch all of your fingertips together. meaning like you kind of match up the fingers on each hand, whatever fingers you have, and touch them together. And you can either hold that just comfortably, meaning like let your elbows rest, let your hands drop kind of down into your lap. You can't see it if I do it, if I drop them down, but just it's a mudra. It's a way of making an energetic connection. So touching all your fingertips together. You can put them up by your heart if you want, if that feels good to you. To me, it feels better just to relax them into my lap. And depending where you are and if other people are looking at you, resting them in your lap might just be the easiest. But hey, you do you. So touch all those fingertips together and just let yourself breathe and focus on the parts of your fingertips that are touching together. That is a quick microdose grounding, super easy to do. The last microdose grounding, even in a chaotic setting, that I have for you is just name it to claim it. Right? So you can say in your mind something like, I'm here, I'm safe, I am grounded. I'm here, I am safe, I am grounded. It's like a little mantra that you say over and over for yourself. So it's kind of naming what you want to be experiencing so that you claim it, so that you are experiencing it. It could even be like, I'm calm, I'm grounded, I'm secure. If you don't like, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm grounded. I'm present, I'm grounded, I don't know. I'm here. I'm a soul, right? Whatever it is that works for you. I'm here. I'm safe. I'm grounded. I'm here. I'm safe. I'm grounded. So sometimes those words might work. Sometimes you want to put other words in there, but just kind of doing a little bit of a mantra for yourself for even like 10 to 60 seconds can really just help you be grounded, present, less scattered, less energetically pulled in directions, ready to refocus onto the next segment of whatever it is that you're doing and focusing on. Okay, so this last one that I have for us is a little bit different. This is microdosing connection. Now, we all know that emotional connection, that connection between people, like as human beings, is incredibly important for our emotional resilience, for our feelings of belonging, for our overall well-being. We are sentient beings. We are sensitive and feeling beings. We are meant to be connected to other human beings, animal beings, whatever you like. So when to use this? If you feel disconnected, if you feel lonely, if you feel emotionally drained, or if it comes to mind. I tend to do this one. I do these quite a bit, actually, this microdosing connection, because often, like for me, I think a lot of you guys know by now, I have kids that are grown. I love them and I know that they love me, but they don't always have the time or the desire to sit on the phone and talk to me for an hour. But we can do these little microdosing connections. So as I go through these, I think you'll start to understand, especially with this first one, what I mean. I do these just kind of when I think of it, which is often pretty frequently because I've trained this little muscle now. So the 5-second gratitude text. I will often send a text or even like a little GIF or meme, like a little thinking of you or grateful for you or love you so much. Or those of you that are on my Instagram know that I love Pooh Bear. So sometimes I'll send a little Pooh Bear, little GIF thing, a little dancing bear. So it's just a quick shifts your mood, very instantly strengthens the bond between you and whoever this person is. It feels great to give gratitude or to give acknowledgement to someone. And then you're also opening that line of connection with that friend or person or loved one that they can feel free to reach back to you if they need to. So I love the 5-second connection text. And I have one friend, I think I've mentioned this before on the pod. We send memes back and forth, and that's really all that we don't really have like a ton of communication outside of that when, we go to lunch or whatever we see each other occasionally. But in the meantime, we're just sending memes back and forth. And it's this little micro dose of connection that doesn't let us get too energetically far away from each other, that keeps us connected, keeps us sending those little energetic bursts of love, gratitude, care, connection. So that one is less than 10 seconds. Hey, look at us. We're doing great. 5-second text. And if you want to be fancy, you could take 30 seconds to write the message if you felt a little generous with your time in that moment. Okay. The next one for this microdosing of connection is It kind of seems like it's another one that we've talked about. It's hand on heart again. And truly you could blend these two together if you wanted. So the calmness one was hand on heart with the 3 breaths. And then you could do belly hand if you wanted to, hand on heart, hand on belly, 3 breaths. I hope I'm not moving too quickly for you guys through these. This is similar to that hand on heart, but it's in your mind naming someone that you love, someone that you care about, someone that you want to send, the way we used to say it is like thoughts and prayers, love and light. If you want to just send some good energy, positive vibes, whatever words you like in there. So hand on heart, you just kind of gently close your eyes, and it's almost like an energetic text message that you're just kind of sending to them. Just think of that person. You could think of their name, and your body responds with a real oxytocin boost for you, thinking of this beloved person. And as we've learned just a couple episodes ago, when I was talking about lessons I've learned from the spirit world, our souls do receive that energy, those good thoughts, those prayers, those well wishes that people send us, even energetically, we do receive. So how you could blend those two tools together is, if you wanted to put your hand on your heart and your belly, you take your 3 centering, calming, still breaths for yourself. You got calm, and then you do a 5-second, gratitude or love burst for someone else, and think of someone's name, or even just like a mental picture of them, a memory of them, and spend 10 seconds with your eyes closed and let your body respond. So that one, you can even do 2 tools in less than 60 seconds, which is pretty great. Okay, another way to do this microdosing of connection is with eye contact. So you could do it in person, like person to person, if you're in person with them. You could also do this virtually if you FaceTime, or if you're on like a Zoom with them. It's just looking into that person's eyes for 5 seconds without distraction. And we all know that connection is a biological need for human beings. And this is just another way to really make us connected both at the same time. So it's this eye contact, 5-second reset. If you could do 60 seconds of eye contact, it might feel really uncomfortable, but it really is creating a deep connection in a strange way. No words, no trying to communicate with hand gestures, just looking in this other person's eye. It could be, you can do this with a family member, with a friend, with a partner. You could do it with anyone. You could do it with a kiddo if they'll sit for 60 seconds and do it with you. This is going to sound ridiculous maybe, but I've even done this with a pet. I've had lots of pets over my life. And some of you know, some of these animals are quite human-like, or quite expressive in their connection. So maybe if you have a dog that is willing to make eye contact with you, you could do this with even a loving fur baby. So this eye contact, 30 to 60 seconds. Now, another idea here is this idea of imagining you're not alone. So if you're in a crowded place, or even if you feel isolated, right? If you're just all alone in your room, or if you're in a crowded place and you feel alone, you can just start to, with eyes closed or open, start to imagine or acknowledge the ways that we all are connected in a very realistic way, like a very 3D world, tangible way. You can realize we're connected by shared oxygen. We're connected by shared planet. We're connected by existence in the same time period. We're connected by some of these shared experiences that we're going through in our world. This is the first time, in history that our world has had this level of connection with one another. We all see the sunset in some capacity. We all see the sunrise in some capacity. So you can kind of go through your mind for 60 seconds and name or become aware of all those ways that on this earth plane we're connected. But if you want to take this to like another level, another dimension, another layer, you can also, or maybe if you've got 2 minutes instead of 1, you can also, whether you're alone or in a crowded place, I do this one in the car sometimes actually, you can let your mind go to all of the unseen or like non-physical ways that we're connected. We're connected by ancestral lines. For example, if you ever were a teacher. You're connected through all the other teachers that ever taught in any time, space, dimension, or reality, or part of your ancestry. So we're connected by common ancestors. We're connected by the love that we share. We're connected to our physical ancestors. We're connected to our spirit guides right now. We're connected to our angels. We're connected to our loved ones in the spirit world. Oh yeah, I just remembered we're connected to, I'm connected to my first grade teacher that passed away many years ago. I'm connected to that great grandma that I didn't get to meet. But I've seen, a tablecloth she made, whatever it is. So kind of starting to expand on that, not just to this realm, this physical world, but also to the non-physical world, and let yourself kind of either imagine, if you like that word in there, or name, experience, call out even inside your mind the ways that we are connected and not alone. That one I think is just kind of fun. It is also, even though that one's more for like microdosing connection, I do find that one really calming as well. And it does for me, I don't know if this is true just because I'm a medium or if this is true for other people too, but for me, all of these levels and layers and ways that we're connected just for me is really profound and lets me know that there's just always much more going on here than meets the eye. There's always many layers of what's going on. So that might help you as well. And we really do share so much, as you guys know. I do want to give you a little bit of like research and statistics as part of this. I want to share this one study that was done by Harvard University on adult development. It's the longest running study on happiness, and it found that meaningful relationships are the number one predictor of long-term well-being. And this is like more than wealth, more than success, more than even physical health. It's this idea of meaningful relationships. So that's why I'm offering it to you with this segment on microdosing connection, because the truth is, in our busy, busy world where we are spread out, right? Many of us don't live where we grew up. Some people do. And even if you do live where you grew up, the chances are that others have moved away, right? So most of us have family or friends or people we love that are in other states. Take my bestie, for example. Most of you guys know she lives in Las Vegas. I live in San Diego. We've lived in different states. We met in California, but she's been living there for quite some time. We don't, I mean, lately we've actually been trying to make an effort to see each other at least 2 or 3 times a year. But for many, many years, we like almost never got to see each other, but we connect in almost every day. I would say probably 5 or 6 days a week. We are spending at least a couple minutes speaking to each other. She also, of course, sends me things on Instagram, and I sometimes send her things. So even just these micro doses of connection, when we can't necessarily be in the physical space with someone, when we can't necessarily spend, in the old days, we used to have Sunday dinners and we used to all go to someone's house on Sunday before my generation, my parents' generation. My grandma had these dinners and everyone would come and all the kids would come and everyone would be together. But that's just not the way our world always gets to work now. And knowing that relationships are the number one predictor of well-being in the long term for each of us, can you start infusing some of these micro doses of connection with people, especially if you've got like teenagers in your life? Sometimes these micro doses of connection are the best way to keep almost like this little bit of trickle in, letting them know you're still there, you love them, you care about them, you're still there, without being so overwhelming or them receiving it as being intrusive that you're pushing them away. So, okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox on this and tell you the next couple little research and stats points that I have for you. I want to talk about this oxytocin boost that we can get from all of these little microdoses that I just mentioned. Simple acts of like, let's just take connection, for example, eye contact, a kind message, even thinking of someone releases oxytocin, which is also sometimes called the love hormone. And that reduces stress. It provides like an increased sense of safety, an increased sense of security. It helps to calm us, and it boosts our mood in a chemical way, like not even just to like, oh, I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, but actually helps to release those chemicals to help us sustain a good mood or to help us get to a higher feeling place faster. So these are real ways that we can invite our body or instruct our body to give us more of what we need in these little micro doses. One little other thing I want to mention is this idea of the emotion of loneliness. We know that we are more connected than ever, and people report feeling more lonely than ever. There has been multiple studies, but this one is a Holt-Lundstad from 2015. And they did this study about chronic loneliness and health risk. And they found that people who have chronic loneliness, the health risk has the same impact on mortality as if they smoked 15 cigarettes a day. So if someone is chronically lonely, it's like chronically experiencing this overwhelming loneliness, it's equivalent in their health risk to the same as if they were smoking 15 cigarettes a day. How crazy is that? And just knowing that, yeah, maybe we don't have always these big times to take like a vacation or to go to a retreat or the means to like go on a White Lotus vacation. We can do these little micro doses in 10 to 60 seconds. You definitely have 10 seconds. You definitely can shave off 10 to 30 seconds. If you go use the restroom in your office building, for example, you could get an extra little 10 to 30 seconds for yourself. So I really want to encourage you to be using these micro doses. And then the other bit of it here is, even if we're using these habits, these tools in these little 10 to 30 to 60 second increments, right? And everything in between, even though those are very small slivers of our day, we're strengthening that muscle so that next time you're putting your hand on your heart and your belly and taking 3 breaths, your body knows faster, oh yeah, this is our relaxing moment. Oh yeah, we can get to peace much more easily. We can get to joy much more easily. And you might even find yourself, especially with the microdosing joy, you might find yourself creating a file on your computer of like beautiful scenes that you like to look at. You might find yourself positioning things in your office so that you can see them with just a gaze of like, okay, 10 seconds on this picture and I'm going to get this little boost of memory. I love like one of those, I don't have one right now, but one of those moving photo frames, you know, the ones that are like digital and change out the photos for you. You could have one of those that's only super happy memories for you and use that as your little micro dosing throughout the day happiness. So you're training your system at the same time and strengthening these muscles for yourself. Imagine if every time you got overwhelmed, you had a microdose of peace, like ready to go. Every time stress hits, every time the world feels too much, every time we get another news alert on our phone, you don't get lost in it. You microdose peace instead. You take one deep breath, one small shift, one moment of stillness for yourself. These tiny shifts might feel small, but like we were saying, stacked together, they create a totally different experience of your day and of your life overall, even. So as you go about your day, I challenge you. I'm going to make a little challenge here. Pick one microdose to try today, just one. And notice how it shifts your energy, even just a little, even just a micro amount. And if you loved this episode, of course, I would love it if you would share it with a friend who might just need a reminder that peace, joy, stillness, grounding, connection is just a breath away. I'm so grateful for you being here with me today. I would love to know your favorite tools or if you learned any new tools. And what do you think about this idea of microdosing emotion, microdosing joy, peace and stillness, microdosing grounding, microdosing connection? Do you think this would work for you? And please let me know if you accept my challenge and decide to try 1 or 2 or 3 of these throughout your week. Let me know how you feel. And if you do it over a couple weeks, I would really love to know if you notice anything shifting in your awareness. We're going to get through this together. I know times are crazy and the stress and overwhelm and loudness of the world is real, but my intention is to keep providing conversation and inspiration and, yes, some real tools and strategies that we can all use to carry us through hard times and easy times. And let's hope some happy times are on the horizon for all of us, but why not strengthen our energetic muscles through microdosing joy and connection and peace and stillness and grounding along the way. I'm so grateful for you being here with me, and it would really be meaningful for me if wherever you're listening to this podcast, if you would give me a subscribe, give me a like, you can leave a review. That is actually super meaningful on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and just review the pod. I love 5-star reviews. They mean so much to me. And again, I would love it if you would subscribe to the podcast, and of course, share this episode with a friend that you know is feeling stress and overwhelm and doesn't have time maybe to take a getaway to go to a workshop, but could really benefit from some of this microdosing connection. Maybe it's even your bestie that you want to start sending memes to connect with and you want them on board. So be sure to share this with someone that you think could benefit from it, because again, we're all stronger together. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.